about to go see Beauty and the Beast. I don't think it's gonna beat the first one, but we'll see. I'm really excited, and here we go. The restaurant had an hour-and-a-half wait time, so we're gonna go find a plan B. This movie theater has ice cream. I'm so excited. Just got home after seeing Beauty and the Beast. It was pretty good. I think I still like the original a lot better, but I'm gonna digest it overnight and have some thoughts on it later. I saw Beauty and the Beast last night. Oh. I guess Gidget is joining me for this video. I saw Beauty and the Beast last night, and this is my review. This first part is going to be my more general feedback. I'm going to avoid all spoilers. Not that you can really have spoilers with the story, because it's basically the same as the 1991 version that Disney made. But there were certain tweaks and changes that they did make, and I will leave that for the second half, and yes, I will warn you when I give away those spoilers. Up front, I would really like to say that this is just my opinion. I don't think I'm right or wrong. These are just my own thoughts on the 2017 movie. Part 1, non-spoiler segment. One thing I was really enamored with in this movie was the costuming. The costuming was very well done, very intricate, very appropriate for the time period of the story. One thing did confuse me a little bit, and that would be Belle's first dress, the blue one. For most of the time she was wearing that dress, it was like hiked up on one side so you could see her pantaloons underneath. I didn't understand that style choice, why they chose to do that, and I'm not sure that it quite worked for me. I loved the yellow dress. It was beautiful, it was classic, it was timeless. However, I wasn't quite expecting it to be that yellow. I thought it would be more of a gold color, just because in the 1991 movie, her dress is literally yellow, but to me, it appeared as if it should be gold. Like if it were in real life, it would be gold. I did greatly appreciate that they used multiracial casting. It was pretty much blind casting, where there were characters who were African American or white. I did notice that they didn't really include any Asian or Latino descent actors. That's something I would have really liked to see. I know that they are very underrepresented in Hollywood right now, but I do think Disney in particular is moving in the right direction with casting. The makeup was very well done, very fun, especially in those scenes where they really exaggerated it to give it that extra costumey feel. The sets were fantastic, especially the castle. It was just so beautiful and imaginative and exactly what you would picture it to look like in real life. There were a couple scenes though when you could tell they were just standing in front of a green screen, acting it out, and I think maybe they could have spent more time on those scenes. When you see it, you'll know it. For the most part, the other CGI, like the different animated characters and such, were pretty good. There was one thing in particular though that looked kind of fake to me, and that's, you know, when the wardrobe spurts out all of that fabric and the scarves and the clothing and all of that. That I could just really tell was CGI'd. I think they could have taken more time with that. The story was pretty much the same. There was some changed dialogue and some changed elements of the story that I'll refer to in the second part of this. Of course there were new songs, but if you've seen the Broadway version, they weren't the songs that were added for Broadway. They were different. As far as the actual music goes, I did like the additions in the Broadway version better than this 2017 movie version. The singing overall was pretty good, and I loved that they included Audra McDonald as a singer. Because she is a real singer, her career is in opera and musical theater, so I would say she was definitely hands down the best singer of the entire movie. And I'm gonna say something a little bit critical, and I really hate being critical because I like to remain really positive. I really do love Emma Watson with all my heart. As a person, as an actress, I really love her. However, she is not a singer. You could tell that she could carry a tune, but none of the notes were sustained, and they were sustained using a computer, and you got that computer quality to it, so it didn't quite sound natural. It wasn't as strong as other singers in the movie. I understand they cast her because she's amazing and loved across the world, but I really would have liked to see them choose an actual singer for the role of Belle and for the role of Beast. As someone who sings professionally, it can be really disheartening when they cast non-singers in singing roles, when there's so many people out there who could just completely knock your socks off with their voice without any computer generation at all. If you haven't seen it yet, we are getting on to part 2. There will be some spoilers in this. For this segment, I'm mostly going to talk about the differences between the Beauty and the Beast in 1991 and the live-action Beauty and the Beast 2017. The biggest change was that they gave both Belle and the Beast a backstory. They talked about how Belle's mother died, and they talked about how Beast's mother died, and the relationship of each of those characters with their father more. Turns out Beast was not just cranky because he was spoiled. He was cranky because his father was just not a very good person. So I did like that gave Beast more of a reason to be such a mean person in the beginning. They did change up the beginning a little bit in how Maurice was captured by the Beast initially. I was anticipating the moment when he sits in the Master's chair and they're all like, "Don't sit in the Master's chair," and he comes out from behind and the Beast like scares him and captures him, and I was waiting for that moment. Instead, in this version, Maurice gets scared off by the wonderful creatures in the castle, goes and picks a rose in the garden on his way fleeing, and then Beast captures him because he stole a rose. That I'm not sure that one way is better than the other, it was just different. Disney tried to add a lot of extra humor into the movie. I think in some parts it really worked, and in some parts it was really unnecessary. For example, at the end, when the wardrobe shoots all her clothes out, clothing all these men attacking her in these beautiful gowns and everything, in the original 1991 version, they run and scream and they're terrified with this. In the new version, 2 of them are really disgusted, and one of them really likes it. I like that they added someone who is cross-dressing and liked it. It was a nice, humorous twist, and I think very open-minded. In the end, that character was seen dancing with LeFou at the happy ending moment, because LeFou is gay. That's a big difference. Or maybe not even a difference so much that it was just made apparent in this movie. I do like that because humans are so diverse, and they are making the characters in this film also diverse. There were other parts that the humor didn't quite work. For example, when Maurice first gets to the castle and he's like wondering who's there and trying to talk to any type of owner of the castle, he goes and warms himself by the fire. And then he like turns around and warms his butt. There was not a single laugh in the theater at that point. I think it really just broke up the tempo and the rhythm of the story that was going. It wasn't necessary, it didn't add anything, and in the end I think it just slowed down the momentum. When Belle trades places with her father as the Beast prisoner, they also switched that up. In the 1991 version, she doesn't get to say goodbye to her father. She just switches places and Beast casts the father out. In this version, the Beast does give her a chance to speak to her father and to say goodbye, and then she deceptively switches places with her father. Her father thinks that he's going to be the one staying with the Beast. I'm not sure I liked that as much. In this version, the Beast did give her a chance to say goodbye, I just really wanted to hate the Beast at first, and you can't do that because you see he is a little bit good. And I think there's an even bigger transformation for him when in the beginning he doesn't even give her a chance to say goodbye, and at the end he's so willing to have her help her dad and leave him. I just think they could have made him even more evil in the beginning that way, and I would have liked to see that. When Belle ran away from the castle and then Beast went and saved her, that moment when he like scared the wolves away and then was standing there so strong and then he just fell over was a really powerful moment. And then he's laying there and you can see him like writhing in pain a little bit, and that was really intense. They did a really nice job with that. It really made you feel for him. I really loved that moment. And then when Belle took Beast back to the castle and she was dressing his wounds and they had the whole argument about his temper, that was fine. But then she talked to the magical creatures in the castle in the same room as the Beast about the curse, wondering about it. And it's kind of like the Beast is like right there. He can hear everything you're saying. Maybe you shouldn't be discussing this in front of the Beast right now. I don't know, that setting just was a little bit off for me. In this version, the Beast is a heavy reader. He likes to read books, and he's well versed in them. That gives him and Belle this thing in common, and they connect on a much deeper level because of that. It's much more realistic for why they got to know each other better and communicate better, because they had that thing in common. I did like that change. However, in the 2017 version, the Beast did not really gift the library in nearly as dramatic a way. For that, I much more preferred the 1991 version, where he planned to give her the library, where he really thought it out. He made it a really special moment for her. It was clear he really wanted to do this for her because he liked her. In this version, he just wanted to prove to her that he could read. So he went and he spontaneously showed her this library that he happened to have, and then she said that she loved all the books in the library and it was so magnificent. And he was like, I don't really care about libraries, so I guess, yeah, you can have it. I guess you can have the library because I don't use it. That's not really a personal gift to me. That doesn't really speak to me as being something intentional or where he's being extra kind. There is one character who's much more involved. The Enchantress does show up a few times in this movie and at the end. There's also a character who is much less involved. The person who runs the crazy house is not really seen at all until the end of this movie. In the 1991 version, he and Gaston have this sort of relationship going where they're plotting this thing against Belle to lock up her father. In this version, he just shows up at the end and Gaston suggests he go with them. If I hadn't seen the 1991 version, I'm not quite sure that I would have understood what was going on at that point. It wasn't really clear that he was being carted off to the crazy house. He could have been going anywhere really, to prison or wherever. There wasn't that connection with the crazy house character. And I say crazy house not to be offensive at all, but in French, literally, they use maison de loup. I would have preferred that relationship to be established rather than that character just sort of being thrown in at the end. As mentioned earlier, they did switch up the dialogue in quite a few spots. I'm not quite sure it worked everywhere. I understand they were probably trying to be a little different from the 1991 version, but I think it did flow better in the 1991 version. For example, at the end in that epic battle between Gaston and the Beast, which it was very epic in this version, kudos to that. The Beast grabs Gaston, and when Gaston is pleading for his life, in the 1991 version, the Beast just pulls him back and goes, "Get out." That moment was super powerful for me. That's all he had to say and you just understood. In this version, they added a line, so instead he said, "I am not a beast," and then tossed him aside, and then said, "Get out." A little cheesy for me, but that's just me. Maybe you think differently. After the Beast has been shot, not stabbed, but shot by Gaston in this version, and he's lying on the ground and Bella's crying over him, and the Beast starts to transform, the transformation is actually very short. The transformation started, and it was so cool. What they did with the computer really was working. It was an amazing CGI marathon that they were running, it seemed, and then it just cut off, just stopped short. The computer work there was so cool. I would have really liked them to draw that out longer just because they did such a good job with it. And then the dialogue was changed after that too. I don't remember there being much at all. In the 1991 version, Belle was confused and in shock. I don't know if this is you or not, because it was just such a shocking moment, right? But in this version, she knew basically almost instantly, and I did miss that dialogue a little bit. Likewise, the last petal falls, and then all the characters die, including the Beast, and then the Enchantress comes in and sees Belle crying over him and saying that she loves him, and then she brings them all back to life. So that transformation moment didn't happen as the last petal was falling. It happened after everyone died. I think I did prefer the first way better. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I had a great time. It was heartwarming. I think this version seemed a little bit less Stockholm Syndrome-ish. It was a little more romantic in that there was more of a backstory for each, and they developed those romantic feelings in a way that seemed kind of legit. Not just, she's kidnapped and forced to like me, but there's actually a relationship developing here. Overall, I think I did prefer the 1991 version to the 2017 version. Again, these are really just my own opinions. They're not right or wrong, they're just what I think. The whole Beauty and the Beast team did an excellent job. I think it is really hard to remake a classic film. Overall, I would probably give this a 3 and a half star rating. I would watch it again for sure. I just really prefer the first version. And maybe that's because I'm a 90s kid and I've seen it 1.5 million times. Either way, I do recommend you watch it or even buy it on Blu-ray. Have you seen it yet? Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the movie. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like my video, share it if you'd like. Thanks for watching. Of course, now I have cat hair all over me. I have some cat hair on my face.